In the headlines, 8 persons confirmed dead from Ondo tanker attack. High cost of living pushing commercial drivers in Sokoto State out of business. Concerns as Naira's free fall against US dollar continues. And on the foreign scene, at least 15 migrants drown off the coast of Senegal's capital. Hello there, good evening and welcome to Trust News Update. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Ondo State, where 8 persons have been confirmed dead while attempting to scoop from a petrol-laden tanker which fell and spilled its content along the Ore-Benin Expressway in Ondo State. While many were reported to have died from the Sunday evening's incident, the sector commander of the Federal Safety Corps in Ondo State, Ezekiel Sonala, on Monday says 8 persons were burned to death following the explosion. He says the white fuel tanker with no registration number lost control due to overspeeding. Sonala noted that following the development, some residents of a nearby village stormed the scene and started scooping fuel from the fallen tanker. According to him, the tanker exploded, burning 8 persons in the process. He says the FRSC rescue team had deposited the remains of some of the victims at the morgue of the General Hospital in Ore. Now, the current economic climate in Nigeria is pushing commercial drivers in Sokoto State out of their jobs in search of alternative means of livelihood as the business faces low patronage occasioned by a recent fuel hike in the country. Yusho Adamu examines the situation and now reports.
The removal of fuel subsidy by the present administration, which led to the increase in pump price from 167 to 540 and later to 617 per litre, has imposed serious hardships on many Nigerians, including commercial drivers. Fuel, as an essential segment in the commercial driving business, always determines the transport fares a commercial driver will charge passenger depending on the distance a driver covers. Commercial drivers in Sokoto State have lamented the recent increase of fuel price, which they said has invited untold hardships to them and the members of their families.
I'm
a driver, and it is important for government to find a lasting solution to this problem, especially for we the commercial drivers. The amount we buy fuel has made transport fare to increase, which has made the situation more worse for us.
A trip from Sokoto to Gusau in Zamfara State that cost only 2,000 before the increase is now 4,000 per person, while from Sokoto to Kano is now 8,000 as against the usual 4,000. From Sokoto to Zaria, which was 4,000 before, has doubled to 8,000 per head, while from Sokoto to Kaduna has went up to 10,000 from 8,000 per passenger. Also, transport fares from Sokoto to Birnin Kebbi has jacked off to 3,000 as against the normal charges of 2,000 per passenger.
We are the drivers, and we are pleading on the government to do the needful. We are here whole day and night, and passengers have drastically reduced due to the removal of the fuel subsidy. Some of us have to leave this work because the business is no more encouraging.
A commercial driver plying Sokoto to Kano route is now consuming fuel worth 55,000 as against the normal 16,000 per trip. Another driver traveling to Kaduna from Sokoto is now consuming 50,000 worth of fuel per trip as against the 15,000 before the increase in the pump price.
For the past 1 week, I have not had a passenger, a situation that is worse and discouraging to the business. Now our families are expecting us to bring food for them. This is a very terrible situation because we can't move without loading passengers.
Courtesy of the hike in transport fares, the patronage the commercial drivers are enjoying has drastically reduced as fewer passengers travel nowadays. Commercial drivers are spending many days at Sokoto Motor Park waiting for their turns to get passengers for trip to either Kano or Kaduna State due to the scarcity of travelers. Unless the price of fuel is reduced, travelers will continue to spend more on transport to keep the business of commercial driving alive. From Sokoto, Yushau Adamu, Trust TV News.
Well, in neighboring Katsina State, car importation and sales have crashed, largely due to inconsistent economic policies by Nigeria's federal government. Car importers and dealers in the state say the immediate past administration of Muhammadu Buhari has failed to safeguard the industry, leading to declining profits. Abdullahi Yamadi reports that many car importers, dealers, and several others within the value chain are now engaged in menial jobs or have been forced out of business.
Harsh economic policies and bureaucratic red tape in obtaining customs duty are major constraints that have impacted negatively on car business. Border closure, taxations, and most recently removal of fuel subsidy are also major constraints to doing car business in northern Nigeria, especially in places like Katsina. Many here spend 6 to 8 months or even a year without selling a single car, which means numerous brands and models of cars are waiting to be purchased. This industry has suffered a serious setback over the last 8 years, with many forced out of the business. Now, there's nothing attractive in car business because of unfavorable policies by the government. In fact, car importers, dealers, and sellers are in terrible condition. Car dealers and importers in Katsina have also described the supposed reopening of land borders as mere talk. The reality is that reopening of the borders have not come into effect up to this moment.
I'm appealing to the government actually that the government should consider the situations now in the country. That is the situation not even in the country, the situation in the car selling industry. The duty is very high. If the government actually can look at the situation and then reduce the price so that it can be affordable, it will be better for the business. But with the situation now, actually, we are finding it difficult to operate.
Devaluation of the naira, increase in customs charges, high cost of clearance by agents, and exchange rates have ultimately jacked the prices of cars beyond the purchasing power of ordinary Nigerians. All these cars you are seeing were here for over 3 to 4 years. The industry is collapsing as many people are concerned about what to put body and soul together. People that are coming to buy cars are asking for low-grade engine and fairly used cars. To compound matters, the fuel price hike occasioned by subsidy removal has changed preferences of Nigerians to fuel-saving cars rather than V6 and high-grade engine cars, which are no longer favorites for now. Observers are afraid that the collapse of the sector will affect millions of people within the value chain, and this ultimately portends danger to Nigeria, as many who lost out may be potential recruits to terrorists on other elements. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured that the Commission will continue to review its operations to ensure that the electoral process in the country remains on the path of constant growth. Chairman of the Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, gave the assurance at the Commission's quarterly consultative meeting with civil society organizations. Noel Sampson has more.
The Commission chairman, who commended the progressive improvement in the just concluded electoral process, highlighted the positive developments the Commission recorded.
Printing of all sensitive and non-sensitive materials for the 2023 general election was entirely done in Nigeria. Not a single ballot paper or result sheet was printed outside the country. This is the first time in 44 years since the transition to democratic rule in 1979 that this great step was taken and achieved in spite of the record number of 93.4 million registered voters and over 500 million ballot papers, result sheets, and other documents for the 5 categories of the main election and supplementary polls.
He also used the opportunity to highlight challenges faced during the elections, such as sabotage from its officials and the IRF problems, among others.
The severe cash and fuel situations were compounded by the perennial insecurity nationwide. Their impact on our deployment plans, compounded by the behavior of some of our own officials in the field, made logistics management particularly challenging. The uploading of results to the INEC result viewing portal, the IREV, especially for the presidential election, encountered a glitch as explained in our statement on the 26th of February 2023. The Commission is aware that this matter is currently the subject of litigation and will reserve its comments for now.
The representative of civil society organizations urged other observers groups to submit their reports following INEC's revelations that only 30% of observers group have submitted theirs.
The effort that we put into applying for accreditation, we should also make that effort to ensure that we send in our reports. Because over the years, I have noticed that the recommendations that we put into our reports are taken on by INEC. And this has brought about some of the reforms we have seen in our electoral process.
Nigerians are hopeful that by the end of the consultative meetings, its impact will be felt at the off-cycle elections in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the ruling party in Kano, the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has closed its defense at the State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, calling no witness. The petitioner, APC, is challenging INEC for declaring Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party the winner of the gubernatorial election that was conducted on March 18, 2023. The petitioner is also asking the tribunal to declare that NNPP has no candidate, as Kabir Yusuf was not in their register of submitted voters or submitted party members to INEC at the time of the election. The respondents in the petition include INEC, Governor Abba Kabir, and the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. At the resumed hearing on Monday, counsel to NNPP Tijani Yahaya told the court that the defense saw no need to call any witness after a review of evidence presented to the tribunal. Counsel to the petitioner, Professor Sam Erugo, counsel to INEC, Emmanuel Osayomi, and counsel to Abba Kabir, Eitayo Fatigun, did not object to the submissions of the NNPP. APC had presented 32 witnesses, whereas the first respondent, INEC, did not call any witness. The second respondent, Abba Yusuf Kabir, presented one witness. Now, Rufai Sani Hanga of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has won the case brought by Abdul Karim Abdul Salam Zaura of the All Progressives Congress, APC, challenging Hanga's victory in the February 25th National Assembly polls. Hanga's victory was hinged on the fact that the APC and Zaura were unable to establish non-compliance with the Electoral Act of 2022. Zaura filed the lawsuit to contest Hanga's victory on the grounds that Ibrahim Shekaro, a former senator from Kano Central and former governor of Kano State, was the NNPP candidate for the election rather than Hanga. Now, Justice I.P. Chima, however, dismissed the lawsuit on the grounds that it lacked merit, pointing out that the NNPP had acted by substituting Hanga for Shekaro within the Electoral Act's 14-day window. In addition, the judge fined the APC candidate 600,000 naira, which must be paid to Rufai Hanga and the NNPP. Now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has called on resident doctors across the country to suspend their planned strike action in the interest of citizens who will bear the brunt of the action. He made the call while receiving representatives of the doctors in his office in Abuja on Monday. The Speaker says the House of Representatives is not unmindful of the sacrifices and contributions doctors in the country have made over the years by choosing to remain behind and serve the nation despite the brain drain that has hit the profession in the country. He assures that the doctors, the House is ready to look into their demands.
We hope to even go beyond the steps and actions taken by the previous House to ensure that we find a lasting resolution to the ever-lingering crisis. We are not unmindful of the many sacrifices resident doctors have continued to make in the health sector, in spite of the many challenges we face and the poor working conditions within which you work. While many of your colleagues have left the shores of our country in pursuit of better working conditions, you have chosen to remain behind in service to the fatherland. We commend you for this and assure you that we would deploy every legislative instrument available to us to ensure that you are fully compensated and rewarded for this act of patriotism.
Right, you're watching the news update on Trust TV. Still to come, we tell you the story of an inventor breaking new grounds. Details coming up ahead after the break.
That's right, you too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Welcome back to the news update on Trust TV, and thank you very much for staying with us. Here's a quick recap of our top stories at this hour. 8 persons confirmed dead from Ondo tanker explosion. High cost of living pushing commercial drivers in Sokoto out of business. Now, the Nigerian Naira has remained on a free fall since multiple exchange rates were unified by the current government. The currency has lost over 22% against the US dollar and other major currencies, with grave economic implications on the Nigerian economy. Yusuf Akogo has more.
Commendations trail the president's decision to achieve a convergence of exchange rates, which experts believe is a better option.
This unification of the exchange rate is good. It's only good for Nigeria because it eliminates the black market and it stops fueling the black market.
With the national currency exchanging for 876 naira per dollar at the I&E window, was the decision to flow the naira right after all.
There are so many problems. Nigeria economy depends on foreign countries for a lot of goods and services. And then, of course, this unification that comes suddenly is the effect, the immediate effect of the sudden change. It is, but hopefully I'm optimistic that in no distance time the rate will match and it will appreciate our local currency.
Bureau de change operators whose businesses appear to have been battered by the federal government exchange rate unification policy described the purported Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to withdraw licenses of nearly 3,000 BDCs operators as fake news.
Revocation of license is it's a fake news, let me tell you, because it has not come to our notice, and whatever CBN does regarding Bureau de change, they have a way of communicating to us, and on this one we have not been communicated.
Analysts are of the view that with a more liberalized forex market, the pressure of the backlog of the unmet demands and other maturing forex-related obligations have been unleashed on the investors and exporters window. To mitigate this, the monetary authorities are urged to investigate this drastic growth in money supply and take steps to curb subsequent expansion. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
Now, an inventor who created water-run cooking stuff says he's working on a power generator that will work without oil or solar energy. Malam Hadi Usman, who made headlines last year for inventing a stove that runs on water, says his new invention will generate electricity independently. Here's Ibrahim Ismail with the rest of the story.
Hadi Usman, who is worried by the epileptic power supply in the country, claimed that this engine will generate 7,500 kilowatts of electricity when completed. According to him, the machine will operate by itself without oil or solar energy.
To akwai kere-kere da dama da nake samun damuwa wajen samun wutar lantarki. I
have been experiencing difficulties in my work because of epileptic power supply. That was why I came up with this engine. It can be kicked off by hands. It generates power by itself without oil or
kuma zai baka wutar da ta kai kilowatts 7.5.
Over the years, this inventor won several awards for his invention, and his popularity earned him a job to teach students at the Gombe State University. But this time, his invention cast doubts in the minds of Nigerians.
Idan wannan juyayen ya kai haka fasaka, shikenan alternator kowane iri ne, ko da hannu ne zaka iya juyaye haka.
When the rotation speed reaches certain level per second, the engine will transmit energy. This is the formula. And the pressure from the wheel's rotation gives the required force to generate the electricity. It is now left to be seen if this project of creating an engine that produces electricity will come to life. This time shall tell. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Now, at least 15 people drowned on Monday when a boat carrying migrants capsized off the coast of Senegal's capital, Dakar. Senegalese President Macky Sall said this on Monday, adding that the incident occurred offshore from one of the country's popular beaches in the Wakam area in the early hours of Monday. A Wakam fisherman, Babakar Diallo, who went down to the beach at dawn to prepare boats for the day's catch, says he saw people trying to ask for help with rescue efforts. Now, alerted by local fishermen and the National Navy, a contingent of firefighters and divers were still searching for bodies in the area on Monday afternoon. Senegal has seen a surge in migrant boats attempting the Atlantic migration route to Spain's Canary Islands. Although one of the deadliest routes, numerous accidents have failed to dissuade those seeking to make the journey. And in sports, Super Falcons midfielder Halimat Ayinde is seeking to taste action at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. The talented midfielder missed Nigeria's opening fixture against Canada due to suspension. The Super Falcons held the Olympic champions to a 0-0 draw in her absence. Ayinde is now expected to return to action when the Super Falcons take on co-host Australia in their second Group B game at the Brisbane Stadium on Thursday. She praised her teammates for their brave performance against the Canadians and expressed her desire to feature against the Australians. Well, that does it for this news update hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us for the updates. Feel free to follow us across our social media platforms for more content, and for more news, feel free to check our website, trusttv.com. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time.